Thank you so much. It's always difficult being the last person to speak because there's been so much great content to kind of process already. Thank you so much for what you both have shared. Really helpful. Just after 9/11, I went to the USA with my friend Rich, and I find American customs and going through border control quite challenging. And if you go through one of those metal detector things, you always feel a bit nervous that it's going to go off, even though you know you're not carrying anything at all. And we're kind of going through it and kind of going, oh, I'm okay. But my friend Rich, it went off. And so he had to kind of go back through and take out various things from his pockets. Tried a second time and it went off again. So he kind of took off his belt and other bits and pieces. Went off a third time and the alarm went off again on this metal detector. And this really angry looking border controlman with a machine gun walked up to my friend Rich and said, "Sir, pull down your pants." Now my friend, being British, had a different understanding of the word pants to what this American gentleman had. So in a crowded airport, he began to pull down his pants because the guy had a gun. I've never seen this angry guy change his demeanor so quickly from being angry to like, "What are you doing? Pull them up, pull them up, pull them up." The word pants means different things in different contexts. For me, it's really important that we grapple with what this word gratitude means. And Gummy, we've done such a brilliant job of really unpacking it today. And I think for me personally, I've been on a journey exploring what gratitude means. I think perhaps I used to think it was just about saying thank you. I remember at school in an assembly once saying you should say thank you. So I became thank you for everything. Juice, thank you. Biscuit, thank you. Even now today I'm on the bus, thank you driver, thank you. I went for a meal last night with my kids and my daughter said to me, "Dad, you say thank you a lot, don't you?" And I said, "Thank you." But I realized actually it's much more than saying thank you. Gratitude is more than just saying thank you. I think I used to think that gratitude was about counting our blessings. And again, during lockdown particularly, I would take moments to realize what we couldn't do, what we weren't able to do. I would count my blessings. What are the good things that I can do? What can I be thankful for God for in this moment? But again, I've discovered that actually gratitude is beyond just counting our blessings. I think gratitude, first of all, it requires you to slow down. My mate Phil has a friend who booked a sensory deprivation tank. Anyone used them before? No? Okay, they're kind of these big tanks, kind of water tanks, and basically it sets your body temperature, and it's salty water. And the idea is you climb into this tank and they put a lid over the top, so it's pitch black inside, and there's no noise at all. And it relieves your muscles, it relieves your anxiety, and you just rest and float in this tank. And so my friend's, Phil, his mate had one of these booked, and she was really excited about the whole thing. And she got inside this tank, and she thought, great, I'm going to really kind of de-stress now and get rid of my anxiousness. It's going to be fantastic. And she got in the tank, and she heard drip, 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 drip. I thought, oh, no. Of all the tanks, I'm given the faulty tank with a drip, she thought. This is ridiculous. So she tried to become unanxious, but all she could hear was drip, 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 drip. And then she realized actually it wasn't that the tank was broken, but the drip, drip was the sound of her heart beating. Gratitude requires us that we slow down. We live in a hyper-connected world with our phones and our distractions and Netflix and busyness, that we can lose what it is to slow down and just be in the moment, to see what is all around us. We lose the idea of actually hearing our own heartbeat. If we don't slow down, we fail to notice the good that is all around us. You can't be truly grateful if you're always in a hurry. The second thing that I've discovered is this, is gratitude is about acknowledging the good. As you have this great definition here, the good acknowledged. And I guess we're surrounded right now with these news stories over the last couple of years, and even now, BBC News every day, it's the Ukraine situation. There are some horrendous things happening in the world all around us. And almost when we keep watching this material online, we almost become so focused on all the bad and evil and destructive things that we can lose the sense that there are some good things as well. We stop, we slow down, And we choose to notice the good things that are happening all around us, the good things that we can celebrate. I've got 2 kids, they're 10 and 8 now, but when my youngest was about 3 years old, I would take her to nursery. And I was often quite busy and got quite frustrated because she would always go so slow. I'm like, can't you run? I mean, come on faster. And she would often slow down and notice things that I would often take for granted. And this one day passing this tree, and I was kind of trying to hurry her along. She said, "Dad, look, ants." I'm like, "Ants, okay." I stopped with her and I looked, and there was this kind of entire army of ants going up and down this tree carrying leaves. And there's a really kind of profound conversation about what do ants eat? And how can they carry these leaves? And what do they do? All these interesting questions because we had slowed down and just acknowledged something good in creation that normally I would have zipped past. We can't acknowledge things unless we notice them, and it has to be authentic. My wife is a keen person at writing to her MP, and she writes to the MP on various different issues, doesn't often see eye to eye with our local MP, and she kind of writes her various complaints and issues and things she wants to challenge the MP on. But during the height of Brexit, she was so aware that the chamber became so toxic that actually at 10:30 at night, often she would kind of message the MP and hear back months later on via email. But at 10:30 at night, she messaged her saying this: "I'm a Christian. I just want to say that all that's happening right now in Parliament, I'm grateful for you and your public service, and I'm praying for you." Normally it takes months for her to hear back, but within 20 minutes, the MP had emailed back saying, "Thank you so much. I really needed to hear that." As Gurma said, it isn't about being passive, but it's about looking for things that we can appreciate in other people. Gratitude is about acknowledging the good. And the third thing is that gratitude helps you see the person behind the thing. My kids buy me various birthday presents. They were the first people ever to buy me flowers. They thought, well, your wife likes them, so I'm sure Dad will like them too. And they bought me my first Peppa Pig book. I was very thrilled at that. And they also bought me this hat, which world's best dad had a kind of... I never wear it, except for in the house if the heating's off. But it's not about the gift, but it's about the fact that they gave it to me. It's actually quite precious because they gave it to me, because they appreciate me and they want to say, "Thank you, Dad, for who you are." Gratitude is more than just seeing the gift, it's seeing the giver behind the gift. And it works on a child-father relationship, it also works on a much bigger level. But actually every day when I breathe in and I breathe out, I say thank you to God for this gift of life that He has given me. Gratitude is about relationships. It's about being grateful for someone for something, but it might not just be about physical things, but about being present, about their affection, about their encouragement, about their support. And here's the really challenging things we've heard already. Even when there is somebody that I strongly disagree with on certain topics, even their worldview, there is still something that I can be grateful to that person for. Gratitude helps you see the person behind the thing. The second thing is that gratitude changes conversations. I believe we have to talk in our culture about difficult things. There are various difficult conversations that we need to have as a society. Just in December last year, I ran a Pray London event which Gurma came and shared at, and we had some members there from the Met Police. And I used to say that a few years ago, they used to go to kind of family functions. People say, "What do you do?" They say, But there are now times, and they go, "Oh, wow, that's really cool. Wish we were police." You get cool uniforms and stuff. But there are now times when they go to family functions, when someone says, "What do you do?" They say now, "Oh, we work in social work," because they're so ashamed of saying we work for the police, because they're so aware of the divides in society and how often the police and the Met Police are seen in society. That shift has taken place. How do we help communities and the police force to begin to trust one another again? We often have difficult conversations, don't we? In our families, in our businesses, in our churches, in our communities. Gratitude, I think, begins to help us see how we navigate these difficult conversations. I think COVID has shown us again just how unequal society is on so many levels. We've all lived through the same pandemic, and you've actually had very different experiences. For some of us, we have more savings in our banks, but some of us have been saved by food banks. There's that challenge and that divide that has become so visible over the last couple of years. And these difficult conversations can be really explosive and challenging things to do. And there are two ways, I think, to try and tackle a difficult conversation. The first thing is that you begin the conversation with an apology. It's an amazing disarming tool. It builds a bridge. When you say, I'm sorry, I've messed up, I got that wrong, I want to change that. But the challenge is with an apology is you can only begin with an apology if you have been wronged. The second tool is gratitude. And gratitude isn't about sweeping the issues under the carpet, but it's about working out how do we frame these conversations. I'm working right now on something called the Movement for Recovery in different places around the UK, and we're in London as well. We're going to launch at the end of April. And in London, we're going to look at various missions that Sadiq Khan has kind of put in place for how we rebuild post-COVID. And they've got 9 different missions. One is around mental health and well-being. That's the first one we're going to focus upon. But one of them is around social cohesion. They want to work out how can we build better communities going forward. What does it look like to bring different people from society together to dream about what our place could be like going forwards? And I met with the department on Zoom, as everyone did during that season. And I showed them the video of what happened in Islington, of Gurma's gratitude meal, where different people from Islington came together, were thanked, talked about gratitude, and began these really robust conversations about the future of the borough. And as they watched this video, they were amazed by it, because they had lots of ideas and lots of teaching, lots of research done, but this was a really practical model of what could happen in a community when you start the conversation with gratitude, bringing different people together. As you already mentioned, we've glimpsed during lockdowns the banging on pans outside your front door, quite a random thing to do, but it was a powerful statement demonstrating the power of gratitude. How do we continue to move this forward? I think perhaps these gratitude meals are a really fantastic way of doing that. So why do I support the Gratitude Initiative? It's because I want our communities to thrive. And where we start difficult conversations is really important. For me, gratitude is an act of humility. Gratitude cuts through barriers. Gratitude creates deeper human connection. Gratitude disarms aggressors. Gratitude can bring about reconciliation. The what, the why, and finally the how. I think first of all we need to celebrate gratitude, and celebrate gratitude in the stories that we tell. As soon as you hear the words, in the beginning, or once upon a time, or in a galaxy far, far away, you know a story is about to be told, and you begin to get a little bit excited. Because stories are powerful. Stories do 3 things. First of all, they help us to frame what is going on. Whenever I see my local co-op and it's got police cordon outside, you always wonder, what happened there? What is the story? What took place? I have a friend who's part of a church, and every week the pastor would work out whose birthday it was and would sing happy birthday no matter what age they were. And there's about 100 people in the church, so every week there'd be twice singing happy birthday. And my friend got really fed up one day saying, look, why do we have to sing happy birthday every week twice? I mean, because if it's a big birthday or your child, then fair enough. But if it's your 53rd birthday, is it really that important to do? And the pastor said, well, actually, in the country I'm from, the average age life expectancy is 28. And so for me, birthdays are sacred moments remembering the gift of life. See, the story helps to frame what was taking place. The second thing is, stories inspire. Stories get beneath our skin. They engage our emotions. When you watch adverts, you see time and time again how they play with our emotions. They kind of do nice family ideas or nice kind of emotional moments to try and retell a story to connect on a much deeper level. And third of all, stories guide. Every film you can think of has a character who wants something, has to overcome some kind of hurdle to get it. Stories help us know what we should want. As Gurma shared that story before, that powerful story of meeting that couple and the woman in tears, that is a great story to tell because it shows the power of gratitude. It helps to frame how we have these difficult conversations. It inspires us of what our nation could be like. And it guides us, helping us to know how we can live our lives differently. What are the stories that we have that we need to highlight and celebrate to demonstrate the power of gratitude? These stories can be contagious. And the second thing is this, is by creating habits of gratitude. I spent a year living in France, and one of the weirdest things I found was the kissing thing. So my kids were at school there, and we go to the school gate each day, and be random mums who had to come to the whole kiss thing. I found it so awkward. But after a couple of months, I kind of got into the whole kissing thing. I started kissing people the whole time. It became quite a natural thing to do. I came back to the UK, and I've been so kind of French indoctrinated that I would go to the park, meet random women, and start trying to kiss them. They'd be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I've been living in France." They're like, very awkward. Culture is really a powerful thing. There's that saying that culture eats vision for breakfast. We can have this vision of gratitude, but how do we embed it in the way that we do things, in our habits? Habits really kind of form our culture, shared habits. And a habit is three things. It is a cue, an action, and a reward. So, very simple one. We meet someone new. The cue is you meet someone new. The action is you put out your hand to do a handshake, and the reward is you've made that sense of connection with that person. The cue, the action, reward. So, again, my daughter, when we were trying to get her to sleep, the cue would be it was time for bedtime. The action would be we'll sing Twinkle, Twinkle, and straight away she'd begin to rub her eyes, and she'd be fast asleep within moments. Absolutely fantastic. The reward was a well-rested child. Until one day, at nursery, about 10 in the morning, they decided to sing Twinkle, Twinkle, and our daughter just passed out, like out cold, because this was the cue, the action, the reward. She knew what to do. I think we need to work out how do we create some habits around gratitude, perhaps in our workplace, perhaps in our church, perhaps in our community. Here's just one example. The cue is this. When you're going to a difficult meeting and you know it's going to be challenging, the action is to first pause, to reflect, to think about the good in the other person, and open the meeting with a moment of gratitude. The cue, the action, and I think the reward is this. You will find that meetings go much better. What are the stories we can tell? What are the habits we can create? Finally, I think just in the life of Jesus. For me, Jesus lived a life of gratitude. He showed us how it was to live a life of gratitude. And he had some difficult conversations at times in his ministry. And I just imagine that one at the end of John chapter 21 when the disciples have gone back to Galilee, back to fishing, back to the old ways of doing things, and they've caught nothing all night when this random guy appears on the beach. He says, "Put your nets on the other side." So they do. And suddenly there's this catch of fish. I love it that it says there are 153 fish. Some people say, is it some deep theological point they're making? Or I just know, like, wow, this is loads, let's count them. And they're like, 1, 2, 3. Peter recognised that it's Jesus. And he ties the thing around his waist, he jumps into the water, and he swims towards Jesus on the beach. And in that moment, we have that powerful encounter, that difficult, perhaps, conversation, but it isn't difficult. Because I think Jesus almost approaches the whole thing with a sense of gratitude as he says, "Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me?" Jesus is alone on the beach. He has slowed down He's acknowledging the good in Peter. There is a calling upon your life, Peter. You are to feed my sheep. And he sees the person behind the thing. He sees that Peter needs to know what it is to be in relationship again with Jesus. The challenge, I think, is how do we make this a part of our lives in the everyday, living out a sense of gratitude, more than just saying thank you. It's about how we do life.